Today, guys, we're going to take this problem, 9x squared minus 25. We're going to factor it 3 different ways for you. Sometimes factoring is a little bit hard, so I want to show you some different ways that you can attack a problem like this, and they're going to be these 3 ways here behind me. All right, hey, before we do that though, I'm the math professor, Kyle Martin. This is a channel to do your math homework fast and accurately. So if that sounds good to you, maybe subscribe to my channel down below. And then also, if you want to see more problems where I do a problem different ways, if you would maybe like this video, that would show me that you like it, and so I can do these problems for you like this in the future. Or even better yet, if you have a specific problem, maybe comment down below on what that is, and I'll try to attack it a different way for you so you get your math homework done fast. Let's get into this one. The way I want to do these problems in the 3 different ways is in order, in my opinion, from kind of the most difficult way to the most easy way here in number 3. There's timestamps in the video player down below. You can skip to whichever one you need. However, don't just kind of skip past 1 and 2 and go to the easiest way, because this is a very specific example called difference of squares that might not apply to every other type of factoring that you do. In fact, this first type that we're going to do is called factor by grouping. All right, and this will work for no matter what kind of factoring you have. And we just have to set it up in the right order. So let's get into this first one. It says 9x squared minus 25, like they all do. And what we're missing in this one is actually our b term. In fact, if you remember, the way that a polynomial should be set up is in order from the highest exponent down to the smallest exponent. So I am missing my b term right here. I'm going to put in a 0x, right? I can add 0 to something, it doesn't change it. If you have a bank account with $100 and I give you 0 more, you still have $100. All right, that's kind of what we're doing there. And then minus 25, that's going to get tacked on at the end. So check your exponents, make sure it's in the right descending order. 2x's, 1x, no x. Yep, that's in the right order. It's going in descending order. And then what we're going to do for this one, if we're going to factor it by grouping, is we have to first kind of look at our b term, which is a 0, as well as our a term times our c term. Okay, now I'm seeing that 9 times negative 25 is negative 225. Get a little more space over here, negative 225. I like to make a little graphic organizer. It looks like an X, okay? And that's my A times my C, my A terms and my C terms. My B term is gonna come down here. That's just 0, all right? Now there are 2 numbers that multiply to be negative 225 and also add to be 0. Well, if they add to be 0, one has to be positive, one has to be negative, the same amount, right? And I think the only thing that does that is negative 15 and positive 15. In fact, I'll put the negative maybe over here. Okay, and that's important because I can split my b term to be now, let's see, 9x squared still in the front, and then this one's going to be split to be 15x, positive 15x, and then minus 15x, and those would come back together to become 0x. But I'm just kind of making it look a little bit different here before I write my last term, which is negative 25. All right, then what we have to do is group this. Okay, I'm going to group my first 2 terms as well as my last 2 terms. And then I'm seeing what can I take out? What's the biggest number and the biggest variable I can take out of this first group? And that's going to be, it looks like a 3 and then 1x. All right, so I'm taking out a 3x. The reason I know it's just 1x because this has 2 x's, this has 1x. The most that I can take out of both of those terms is just 1. All right, I can't take more than 1 out of this one. All right, what do I have when I take this out? Well, left over, 9 divided by 3 is 3. X squared divided by x is just x. And then 15x divided by 3x is 5. Just like that. Now we have to do the exact same thing for our second group. This is a negative and a negative, so I should probably take out a negative something. And I think it's going to be a negative 5. This has no x's, so it's just a negative 5. Okay, when I do the division, negative 15x divided by negative 5 is a positive 3x. And then negative 25 divided by negative 5 is a positive 5. One way you can check yourself when you're factoring by grouping is these 2 groups should be the exact same. If they're not, you did it wrong, okay? So since those are the same, then we're gonna write our answer as these 2, kind of on the outside of our sets of parentheses there. We're gonna write those together as 3x minus 5. And then we're only going to write one of the sets of parentheses. In this case, 3x plus 5. All right, and all that together is your answer when we factor this by grouping. All right, in fact, I'll put that up here. All right, and then you also saw that I put up in the second one, we're just going to factor this like a trinomial, which trinomial means 3 terms, right? So here I only have 2. Again, I'm missing that middle b term. And since we already found it over here, I know it's going to be 0x, right? So let me do this in a different color. Try red, okay? So this one is going to be 9x squared plus 0x again minus 25. All right, I'm going to use my same graphic organizer that I used over here. I'll put it maybe at the bottom since I'm kind of running out of room. And my a times my c is negative 225. My b term is still 0, and the numbers that worked, I'm just kind of using that work from before, is 15 and negative 15. These are two numbers that multiply to be negative 225 and also add to be 0. Okay? All right, now to factor this like just a trinomial, what we have to do is put out two sets of parentheses like this, split your b term. So 9 can be split a couple different ways, so you might need to kind of guess and check a little bit, but I know this is going to split to be 3x and 3x. Okay, and then I'm also seeing that these right here, these two numbers we found, 15 and negative 15, those have to kind of fit in here somehow, but they're not going to be 15. So right, we know that from this one. So how do I get it to figure this out if I'm only doing this way? And the way I like to do it is kind of set up these little bracket things, all right? One that connects my first and last term, and one that connects the inside two terms. And then since both of these numbers go into this 3 right here, it really doesn't matter which line I put those on. Sometimes you'll get problems where like this is say a 2 and you get, I don't know, a 9 and a 10, right? For your two numbers of work. Well, the 10 is the only one that can be divisible by 2. And so it would go on that line. But in this case, 15 and negative 15 are both divisible by negative 3. It does not matter which one you put those on. So I'll put maybe negative 15 down here, positive 15 up here. Then you just kind of run around the bracket and say 3 goes into negative 15 how many times? Negative 5. Goes in negative 5 times. And then likewise, 3, kind of go the other way, 3 goes into positive 15 how many times? Positive 5 times. And you end up with the exact same thing that we did in our first one. It's okay if your signs are switched, does not matter, right? Because we are just multiplying those together. All right, last one that we're going to do. I'll switch my colors one more time. Try blue this time. And this one, again, is 9x minus 25, or 9x squared minus 25. And this is difference of squares. This, in my opinion, is the easiest way to do this problem. Okay, whenever you have a difference of squares, meaning that this side and this side are your two terms, if they're both perfect squares, right? Like 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 would be a perfect square. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 would be a perfect square. That's why we're using this one. Okay? If they're both perfect squares, what you can do is when you write your two sets of parentheses, is you can just take the square root of each term. For example, the square root of 9 is 3, so that's going to go in my first slot on both sets of parentheses. But this also has an x squared. Well, x squared is a perfect square as well. In fact, the square root of x squared is just x. So that's going to get tacked on with the 3 since this is all one term right here. So 3x and 3x. Then the square root of 25 is 5. So 5 is going to go in the second part of each of those parentheses. And then the way that you put the sign in the middle, as long as this is a negative, you're able to put one as a positive and one as a negative inside your answer. So 3x plus 5, 3x minus 5. See why that's the easiest one? Again, guys, if this video helped you out, please help me out by liking this video down below. That shows me that you have interest in this type of video. And then also, if you have a problem where you want to see it done maybe multiple ways, like in this case we did grouping, factor, a trinomial, and difference of squares, leave it in the comments below. I'm going to try to answer your problem, okay? Otherwise, you might find this video interesting or helpful as you continue doing some of your math assignments. See you in the next one.